The US already flies the most powerful fighter jets in the world: F-22, F-15, F-18, and the F-35. But now it's planning to put them on steroids. On May 15th, during a roundtable in Doha, Qatar, President Donald Trump proposed a radical leap forward: a new F-55, a twin-engine, super-upgraded version of the F-35. Not just a tweak, a total transformation. In the same breath, he teased plans for an F-22 Super, an even more advanced version of what many already call the best air superiority fighter on the planet. Trump wasn't speaking off the cuff. He made the announcement in front of aerospace heavyweights Boeing CEO Kelly Ortberg and GE Aerospace CEO Larry Culp, and laid out his vision for America's next era of air dominance. So what exactly is the F-55? Could it really happen? And how far could these supercharged jets push US air power? Let's break it down. The F-35, or to give it its full title, Lockheed Martin F-35 Lightning II, is an incredibly powerful, fifth-generation stealth strike fighter jet. It boasts electronic warfare, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance capabilities, with a maximum speed of Mach 1.6, or 1.6 times the speed of sound, which is more than 1,200 miles per hour. It boasts a range of over 1,350 miles and can reach heights of 50,000 feet. It also boasts both internal and external weaponry and can be fitted with a range of air-to-air missiles for dogfights or air-to-ground missiles to strike land-based targets. Then there are its extraordinary stealth capabilities, like its radar-absorbing exterior and sleek, precise design, which allow it to travel through the skies unseen and undetected. The jet also boasts an extraordinary engine, the Pratt & Whitney F-135 engine. It produces a whopping 28,000 pounds of thrust in standard operation, rising to a staggering 43,000 pounds with the jet's afterburner enabled. That makes it by far one of the most powerful fighter jet engines in the world, with its 3-stage fan and 6-stage compressor design propelling the F-35 through the skies at lightning speeds, covering hundreds of miles in a matter of minutes. However, for all of its power and potential, the F-35 is sort of the odd one out when it comes to the US's best fighter jets, because it only has one engine. Many others, including the F-15, F-22, and F-18, all have twin-engine designs. That's not necessarily a bad thing. There are benefits to having only one engine. It's much cheaper for a start. A single F-35 engine costs around $15 million to make, and the latest and greatest F-35 jets cost more than $100 million total. If you were to add another engine onto that, it would drastically increase the total cost of manufacture, not to mention maintenance and future repair costs. Even with the massive military budget the US has, which is close to $1 trillion at this point, the military still has to find ways to keep costs reasonable and use the funds it has at its disposal wisely. There's also the fact that a single-engine jet is, by its very nature, stealthier. It has a smaller cross-section, which helps when it comes to bypassing enemy radar systems and staying hidden. In addition, one engine usually makes less noise than two, which is another boost in the stealth department. When it comes to flying into enemy airspace and approaching targets without being seen, factors like this can make all the difference. A single-engine jet is also lighter than one with two engines, which aids with range and maneuverability. Adding a second one could make it notably heavier and possibly less agile in the air, which could be a downside in intense dogfight situations or when evading the likes of air-to-air missiles. Finally, because the F-35's engine is so powerful, the original designers didn't feel the need to add a second. It's already capable of generating massive amounts of thrust and powering the jet to impressive maximum speeds. Adding a second might seem like overkill, given the F-35's fantastic performance metrics. Despite all that, President Trump's plan to add a second engine to the F-35 is an exciting one for several reasons. It could easily place the next-level F-35s, or F-55s as he calls them, at the top of the fighter jet food chain. Firstly, a second engine would naturally improve the jet's performance capabilities. It's impossible for now to predict exactly what difference it would make, but thrust and top speed would likely be increased by substantial amounts. Faster and stronger than the original F-35, the F-55 could help the US continue to reign supreme across the world's skies, outmatching whatever the likes of Russia, China, or any other country might throw its way. It might also be able to reach greater heights than its predecessor, as well as boast a bigger payload thanks to the added thrust. That could mean heavier weaponry on board, making the F-55 a formidable foe for any aircraft to face. There's also the fact that twin-engine jets are generally considered much safer than single-engine models. This is something that Trump himself touched on at the conference. I don't like single engines. Even this man, GE Aerospace CEO Larry Culp, he's the best in the world at engines, but on occasion, I know you won't admit this, if an engine goes out, it's nice to have 2, 3, or 4. That's why I like the 747. It's got 4. Today they're getting very big and a little more cost-saving to have 2 very, very big ones. No matter how good, they tell me, Larry, the engine will never go out. Well, I think it goes out on occasion, fairly rarely. As Trump commented, while it is rare, engines sometimes fail for various reasons. If and when that happens, having a backup engine is obviously a huge advantage. If you only have one engine and it fails, there's nothing to fall back on, and the pilot might even have to eject to save themselves, leaving their expensive aircraft spiraling to the ground. With two engines, it's a different story. Even if one goes out, the second one should be able to keep the jet in the air long enough for the pilot to make an emergency landing or fly back to base. So not only would the planned F-55 likely be faster and fitted with more firepower, but also safer. Of course, there are a couple of caveats here. In addition to being notably more expensive than the F-35, the F-55 would be heavier. The presence of an additional engine would also increase the amount of maintenance and support required to keep these jets in peak condition. Not only that, but since the F-35 was not designed to support twin engines, it would basically have to be redesigned, almost from scratch, to accommodate this new addition. Indeed, several experts have expressed concerns about the idea, with several highlighting how much work would need to be done to turn the F-35 from a single engine to a twin-engine aircraft. Former Secretary of the Air Force Frank Kendall said that a two-engine version of the F-35 would be virtually a complete redesign. He added that the idea of a twin-engine F-35 was an option that was never presented and that we never considered. Given that Kendall was still working with the Air Force as recently as January 2025, this suggests that the F-55 concept is more or less a brand new idea. Retired U.S. Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Eric Gunsinger, who spent over 2 decades in the Air Force, echoed Kendall's comments, stating, "The airframe is completely designed around a single engine. To put 2 engines in will be a complete redesign of not only the hardware and the airframe, but also the software. This means the plane would need to be larger and could see decreased range." There are 3 variants of the F-35 currently in use: the F-35A, used by the Air Force, the F-35B for the Marine Corps, and the F-35C, which is used by the Navy. Gunsinger explained that the F-35B, which is specially designed for short takeoff and vertical landing and has the power to land and take off in a hovering state, wouldn't be able to have 2 engines, stating, "Technologically, it's a bridge too far to put 2 engines in an F-35B." Despite these issues, President Trump appears confident in his F-55 plans, and it's worth remembering that he also spoke about a simple upgrade to the F-35 in his original statement. He didn't go into any further detail on that, but experts have made several educated guesses about what he might have been referring to. In April 2025, for example, Lockheed President and CEO Jim Teichlet spoke about ongoing improvements to the F-35. More specifically, he floated the idea of taking technology from the Next Generation Air Dominance or NGAD program, which is an ongoing initiative to create the next generation of fighters, and incorporating it into the existing F-35 design, creating a kind of next-level F-35 that could be able to rival the fighters of the future. Teichlet said, "And we plan on applying those NGAD technologies to our current systems, making our already proven products even more relevant to the future, as well as enhancing the capabilities we provide in ongoing and future development. For example, the knowledge and technology development gained from our investments in the NGAD competition strengthened our conviction to enhance the F-35 to a 5th generation plus capability, and I challenged the team to deliver 80% of 6th gen capability at 50% of the cost. In support of this vision, we're also committing to driving disruptive innovation and building upon our recently established internal capabilities and AI autonomy, crewed-uncrewed teaming, and command and control systems across the whole company. We have aligned these technology investments with our customer priorities and demonstrated meaningful increases in capabilities at relatively low cost. An F-35 that is 80% as effective as next-gen fighters, but costs half as much. It's a hugely ambitious idea. But if Lockheed can pull that off, then the F-35 could remain relevant for years to come, even as Boeing's 6th-gen jet, the F-47, draws closer and closer to its official launch. Teichlet clearly believes his targets are realistic. It's like a NASCAR upgrade, so to speak, where we could take the F-35, apply some of those co-funded technologies both from NGAD and the F-35 program, and you're going to have, again, my challenge to my aeronautics team is let's get 80% of 6th-gen capability at half the price. That's something that these engineers wouldn't have agreed to if they didn't think there was a path to get there. That's something we're going to go out and do. It's certainly possible that this is the initial upgrade President Trump alluded to in his statement. Alternatively, he might have been referring to other possible upgrades, like the Block 4 upgrade program, a major software and hardware enhancement program for the F-35, introducing new and improved sensors, electronic warfare capabilities, and weapons integration systems, all designed to make the F-35 continue to be a relevant and imposing force, even as aerial threats evolve around the globe. Some of the key improvements included in Block 4 are new radar and electro-optical targeting systems, EOTS technologies, which should improve the jet's situational awareness capacities, target recognition, and electronic warfare systems that jam enemy communications and keep the F-35 hidden from view as it speeds across enemy territory. The upgrade program is also said to be adding 2 more missiles to the F-35's internal arsenal, increasing its firepower and capacity to deal serious damage to enemy targets in the air. Or perhaps Trump was speaking about the ongoing efforts to improve the F-35's engine. It's reported that because many of the new technological upgrades introduced in Block 4, future F-35s will need a stronger engine capable of generating more power to support all of the advanced systems and technologies of these jets. The F-35 would also benefit from superior thermal management in order to keep operating costs down to manageable levels and help with engine longevity too. Since 2016, both Pratt & Whitney and General Electric have been tasked with taking the F-35 engine up a notch. They both initially set to work on creating prototype adaptive cycle engines to use in the F-35, codenamed XA100 and XA101. Pratt & Whitney successfully made the XA101 engine, but the entire re-engine concept was set aside in favor of upgrading the existing F-135 core. The Air Force deemed the XA101 and GE's competing XA100 too costly and complex to integrate into the F-35 fleet. The companies instead urged to focus on improving the existing F-35 engine, improving metrics like thrust by 10% and fuel efficiency by 5%, which would also lead to benefits of 7% to range and a 36% saving in maintenance costs. Perhaps this project really has finally reached its target, and the small upgrade Trump mentioned might actually be quite a sizable one, elevating the F-135 engine to a whole new level of functionality and efficiency. For now, we can only guess as to what the exact nature of the upgrade will be until more details emerge. But the F-35 was not the only jet that Trump mentioned during his time in Doha. He also spoke about a so-called super upgrade for the F-22. We're going to do an F-55, and I think if we get the right price, we have to get the right price. That'll be 2 engines and a super upgrade on the F-35. Then we're going to do the F-22. I think the most beautiful fighter jet in the world is the F-22, but we're going to do an F-22 Super, and it'll be a very modern version of the F-22 fighter jet. In many experts' rankings, the F-22 Raptor is considered the best fighter jet in the world. It first flew in 1997, a product of the Air Force's Advanced Tactical Fighter program, with the prime contractor Lockheed Martin making most of its frame and weapon systems, while Boeing handled other aspects of the design including the wings, aft fuselage, avionics, and training systems. This jet boasts some of the most impressive tech specs of any fighter ever created. It's powered by a pair of Pratt & Whitney F119 PW100 turbofan engines, which generate up to 35,000 pounds of thrust each, for a total of 70,000 pounds of thrust. That gives the F-22 an astonishing maximum speed of Mach 2.25, which is around 1,500 miles per hour, with the afterburners enabled. It also has the unique ability to supercruise at Mach 1.8, meaning that it doesn't even have to use its afterburners to reach incredible speeds of close to 1,200 miles per hour. It also has an impressive range of over 1,800 miles and can fly to heights of around 60,000 feet. The F-22 is also one of the stealthiest aircraft ever created. It boasts numerous design features that help to camouflage it from enemy radar and other surveillance systems, like its radar-absorbing coating, internal weapons bays that help to limit its external surface area, and small radar cross-section, which is said to be roughly the size of a marble. It's not 100% undetectable, but it's as close to it as modern technology allows. Any upcoming upgrades to this already amazingly designed aircraft could make it even more powerful, propelling it far ahead of even its closest rivals from around the world, like Russia's Sukhoi Su-57 or the Chinese Chengdu J-20. And the F-22 has a long history of being upgraded and improved over time. Indeed, the F-22s of today are far more advanced than those that first took to the skies in the late 90s. For example, in 2005, Joint Direct Attack Munitions (JDAM) employment was added to the F-22 design, and 2011 saw the jets receive another firepower boost, with the ability to deploy small diameter bombs (SDBs). New systems have also been added over the years for safety, efficiency, and situational awareness, including an automatic backup oxygen system and life support system for pilots in 2012, as well as new sensors, antennas, more durable stealth coatings, and so on. While Trump hasn't given any details about the F-22 Super plans, he may have been referring to plans that were first unveiled in 2024 and spoke of equipping the F-22 with important new upgrades to maintain its relevance and usefulness through to at least 2040. Those plans specifically mention $10 billion of requested funding for F-22 development over the next few years, focusing on upgrades to the jet's weaponry, communications, navigational systems, pilot vehicle interface, and its electronic warfare capabilities. In short, it sounds like a comprehensive elevation of almost all major F-22 systems and features, with the result being what some would call an F-22 on steroids, faster and more capable of ruling the skies for years to come, even as next-gen jets are released. It's all very exciting news, further cementing the US Air Force's position and superiority, and we eagerly await further details of these intriguing upgrades. What are your thoughts on these plans? Can you see President Trump's twin-engine F-35 come to fruition? Share your views in the comments below. And thank you, as always, for watching.